This video response is going to go to FarAwayDistance, and that's because you uploaded a video entitled, "I've been waiting 2 years to share this." Well, I'm glad that you're finally able to share whatever you're sharing here. I watched your entire, well, let's just say I watched the first 5 minutes and 30 seconds of your video. It was a little over 7 minutes long. After about the first 5 minutes and 30 seconds, like, okay, is this ever going to come to a stop? But anyway, the content wasn't bad. It just, in presentation, I'm sitting here going, okay, can you get to the point and let's move on a little bit? But, I mean, you know, what you were discussing was perfectly fine. It's just, I thought it was a little long-winded, but okay. But I did watch that much of your video, and I decided to ask you a few questions about your video. Okay? Now, who created the Surge project? You definitely wanted people to check out the Surge project. I have not done so yet, but I probably will at some point. But I'd like to know who created it and what their motivation was. Okay? Now, I wasn't sure at the beginning of your video, you didn't explain this very well, but after I got closer to the end, I finally figured it out. You are actually creating these t-shirts and sweatshirts and whatever shirts that you're creating to raise money to help build a church in some foreign nation. You actually mentioned that in your video. I'll let people go ahead and watch that. I can see that that's what you're trying to do, and I'm sure that everybody will want to check out those shirts. So why did it take so long to pick a design for the shirts you plan to sell? Well, anyway, another piece of feedback I'd like to give you on this is that you weren't very precise on your etymology. Okay, now if you don't know what etymology is, that is the study of word origins. And I'm going to be a little more precise than you were in your video, and that's because when certain people watch this, they may catch you on it. And I'd rather them not catch you on this, because it wasn't as precise as it should have been. But anyway, the Latin etymology of the word encourage goes like this. The Latin prefix in, which in Old French it was spelled en, but in Latin it was spelled in, which means in or putting something into. That's what it really means, okay? Years later, as French evolved, it adopted the meaning of causing to be, but that was not originally how it was, all right? In the Old French version, it was the word was creating. Okay, so the word courage itself comes from the Latin word cor, which means the heart. Okay, anything involving the heart. Okay, now I didn't see anywhere in your video that you mentioned that Elijah was an Old Testament Jewish prophet. That's what he was. Okay, now God chose Elijah to be a prophet because he had faith in God. You said we had faith. Faith in what? Faith in God. That was the key. All right? And so God saw Elijah's faith in him, and that encouraged God to finally appoint him to not only be a prophet, but to do all these wonderful things that you mentioned in the video. And that's where I decided to actually give you some commentary and tell you that I think these are the kinds of things that I would have liked to have seen mentioned in your video. But overall, it wasn't a bad video. It just, I think that there was things that maybe you could have said that would have made a little more difference. And I think, like I said, it just, your video seemed to be a little long-winded. By the 5.5 minute mark, I was like, okay, does this thing ever end? But I mean, the material itself was not bad. It just there was things that I think you should have mentioned that you didn't, and more importantly, I think that it just took you too long to make your point. But I do want to wish you luck with your shirts, and I hope everything goes well with them. And let me know how things go, I'd like to hear from you. And hopefully one of these days I'll review yet another one of your videos. Alright, I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned.